everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Better Together podcast with Lōkahi Federal Credit Union. In our previous episode, we discussed the importance of understanding the commitment of the home buying process, evaluating home buyer readiness, and some of the resources available to aid aspiring homeowners in Hawaii. Now, once you have your finances ready to go, you will need to find your ideal home. When you get to this step, you might just call on someone to assist you with finding the perfect fit. In fact, you might just speak to someone like the insightful guest we have for today's podcast. It is my pleasure to introduce a talented and esteemed realtor based here in Hawaii, Maila Gibson-Bandmann. Hi there, Maila.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I've been a real estate agent, licensed in Hawaii since 2006, but I didn't jump into real estate until 2016. Prior to that, I was singing with my partner Ben Vegas.
Wow.
Traveling, and there was just I always had one foot in the real estate market.
Yes.
And decided in 2016 it was time to jump in, and it's been amazing.
Thank you so much. So I hear you're a real estate agent, and I hear the term realtor as well. Is there a difference between the two, or are they the same?
They're kind of the same. Real estate agent mostly describes like what we do. You can be a real estate agent without being a member of the National Association of Realtors. The term realtor is actually trademarked by the National Association of Realtors, which we are technically required to be a part of. I honestly don't even know why there's a difference.
Yeah.
But it's realtor, not realtor. So I know that. Kind of like Maila, not Malia.
Yes. Good point. Now, can you tell us like what their role into the home buying process, what they play in that?
Sure. A real estate agent, of course, helps you find property, but I mean, let's be honest, like we can find property on our own through Zillow, through Realtor.com, through Redfin. So our job primarily is to give you full representation and full disclosure.
Right.
Especially as a first-time home buyer, even if you're like a third or fourth-time home buyer, there's so much going on in terms of paperwork, in terms of zoning and construction, and just the legalities of buying a home and selling a home. A real estate agent's job is to make sure that both parties have full disclosure of what is necessary.
Okay, which brings me to the next question. How can one determine that, that real estate agent is right for them?
Golly, the great thing about hiring a real estate agent is that you have the power to exercise your own personal preferences towards the person that you'd like to represent you. I will typically say, pick somebody that you are good talking to every single day, because if we work together and if I help you buy a house, you're going to see me a lot throughout the process. Yes. I am probably going to see your highest levels of emotions, your fears, your excitement, your anxiety. Yes. We're going to know a little bit about your finances. Your mortgage lender is actually going to know more than I will, but I'm going to know enough.
Right.
So you certainly want to hire somebody that you feel you trust.
Yes.
And somebody that you feel incredibly comfortable with talking to every day, and helping you to navigate through all of those emotions.
Wow. Yeah. So we heard that, it's not only, tolling like financially, but yes, emotionally as well in our last episode. Now, can you tell us, everyone has that dream home in mind. Can you tell us about priorities that homeowners should take in regards to looking for a home? Because I know we want it to fit within our budget as well as what we want it to be.
Of course. Typically it's going to start with price, and that's the last thing on anybody's minds when we're dreaming about our home.
Yes.
But the only way to really get in is to understand how much you can afford. So of course you have to talk to a mortgage lender first, and then the price is going to determine your location. we've got a lot of people that don't want to live in Waianae, right? Because it's so far away from where they work, or they don't want to be stuck in traffic. But sometimes the price point and what they desire as far as the size of a home or a yard is going to put them in that neighborhood. And that's not a terrible thing. I often say, just get in. Buy something that you can afford, that you can sustain. But in terms of priority, I would say it starts with price. Then you would look at the location.
Yes.
Then you go into the size of the home. Because for some people, they might qualify for $600,000. $600,000 is going to get you a 1-bedroom in Honolulu.
Yes.
Whereas $600,000 might get you a 2 or 3 bedroom if you look further out west.
Right.
So those would be the top priorities, I'd say: price, location, size, and then condition.
Right.
Are you somebody that's handy? Are you going to be able to stomach or handle fixing a place up? Or do you need something that's completely turnkey and ready to go? I wouldn't recommend prioritizing things like stainless steel appliances or carpet over hardwood flooring. Like those things are definitely important, but relatively easy to change out if you have the finances for it, if you have the resources for it. So yeah, I would say I have a lot of people that will come to me and say, like, we definitely want like granite countertops, and we definitely want a certain type of flooring, and then as we get into it, we start to realize like those priorities fall by the wayside, and it really boils down to the other things that are just much more valuable to the property itself. So price, location, size, condition.
Yeah, thank you. Can you talk about misconceptions that people have into the home buying process?
Misconceptions. Let's see. That's kind of a hard one, because I feel like you don't know what you don't know. So if you watch a lot of like HGTV, or you watch $1 Million Listing, like those shows are full of misconceptions, and they are created to entertain you.
Right.
So I would say, don't go into this process thinking that it's going to be this contentious thing where the real estate agents are fighting and where you're going to fight. Like, really, the real estate home buying process is cooperative. You know, I need you as my client to trust me. I also need to trust you. I need to trust that whatever you're telling me, like, I've got clients often that will come and say, we want to buy a house, but we're really not in a rush. And I'm like, 9 times out of 10, somebody that tells me they're not in a rush, they actually are. And they're the ones that will buy the quickest. So I learned to kind of decipher between the lines of what people are telling me. But that trust is so incredibly important. So I guess that does bring me to the number one misconception, is that your real estate agent is in it for the money, or they're in it, they're advising you in a certain sort of way because they want this for themselves. And that's actually not true. I liken it to a cab driver. You know, like you hear these stories about, we hailed a cab and the cab driver took us all over the island before getting us to where we really wanted to go. And I'm like, does that really happen?
Yeah.
It might happen here and there, but I don't think that that's what a cab driver wants to do. A cab driver wants to get you from point A to point B and wants to get back in line to pick up the next passenger. And the same is kind of true for being a real estate agent. Like, most of the ones that I work with and for myself, like, I'm not looking to like get you into something that you can't afford, get you to close in a certain amount of time because I'm going to get paid for it. Like, no, this is a business that's really built on trust.
Yes.
This is the biggest financial transaction you're going to make potentially in your life.
Right.
So it's important that we do a really good job for you.
Right. Yeah. Full disclosure.
Yes.
Yes. You know, I've seen in some listings, whether it's condos or apartments or single family homes, they have different designations, like legal designations. Can you tell us about some of those?
Sure. We have a lot of continuing education that we as real estate agents have to go through. Every 2 years, we have to take so many hours. And I mean, it's like 20 hours of core classes and so many other hours of electives in order to renew our license and to be able to practice real estate. So these designations that you see at the end of people's names, like mine right now is like Maila Gibson-Bandmann R, means I'm a real estate salesperson. We all have to have that designation in order to help anybody buy and sell. And then there are other designations that follow after that. There's a popular one called SRES, and that's seniors in real estate. That's a designation that I got. I had to attend so many classes in order to achieve that designation, and it just means that I've taken extra steps in order to help seniors in real estate, whether it's relocation or aging in place or finding a care home. There's another one called CRS. I forget CRS is a really popular one. Oh, Certified Residential Specialist. That's a highly esteemed one. It's another one that you go to a lot of classes to obtain. It just helps you to level up what you do. There's also a realtor broker designation. That's probably the hardest one to get. That one kind of puts you in a management role if you want to take it. So it allows you to be able to sign contracts and review contracts within your brokerage.
Yes.
So there's a bunch, but they are very meaningful.
Yes. And I guess it kind of helps you to pick out like which real estate agent is best for you.
It does, yeah. Like if you have an elderly family member that's needing guidance in real estate, an SRES designation would be meaningful.
Okay, great. How about certain properties that are listed, like, for example, under foreclosure? Are there any specific realtors or real estate agents that you would go to?
Foreclosures are interesting. I had a client call me a few weeks ago, and he's like, I want to hire you. I want you to be my agent. I'm going to go to this foreclosure auction tomorrow. And so how can you help me? And I'm like, actually, I don't have any involvement in a foreclosure purchase in that type of setting. So typically with a foreclosure, you'll see it like in the newspaper.
Yes.
And then by the time it goes to auction, a bunch of people are showing up at the courthouse. They're bidding on it. So usually the foreclosure, the commissioner is going to start the bid at a certain price. And then let's say there's 10 people there, they'll have the opportunity to bid it up.
Right.
Once it's bid up to a high enough price that nobody else is outbidding it, it's awarded to that person, but they have to have 10% by way of a cashier's check on them to pay to the commissioner that day.
Right.
So a lot of people, they get excited about foreclosures. There's a lot of like online classes and things out there about buying foreclosures. They don't happen as often as you think they do. And then when they do happen, there's typically going to be a lot of people competing for it. And usually you need to have the cash to pick it up.
Oh, I see. So that type of property, sometimes you won't go with personal representation for a real estate agent. Okay.
Correct. On the flip side, though, I have helped a handful of people who were in pre-foreclosure. I've helped the sellers.
Yes.
And these are transactions that I have really sunk my teeth into. They are hard and they are difficult, but they're worthwhile consulting a real estate agent once a person is at that point where they're getting the mail and they're getting the phone calls.
Right.
Your home is going into foreclosure. A lot of people will give up because they're just scared.
Right.
And so I really applaud the ones that have reached out and said, Maila, I'm embarrassed. My property, I think, is going into foreclosure. What do I do?
Yeah.
And every time I've had somebody reach out to me in that regard, we've been successful at selling the property and avoiding foreclosure.
Yes. Alrighty. Can you tell me how about properties that are in probate? How does that work for somebody who is a prospective buyer for that type of property?
I have handled several probate sales as well. They can also be difficult. Not as difficult as a foreclosure sale because when it's in foreclosure, attorneys are already involved. And now there's attorneys' fees and there's interest and money is just racking up. So we have to be really efficient and really aggressive in the conversations we have with the attorneys. Probate, on the other side, it can take a while. If a family member has passed away and the property is now in probate, we can totally list it and market the property as if we're listing and marketing any other property. However, the buyer has to know that it might take 6 months or more for this escrow process to finalize. And so that's kind of I think the main nuance to a probate property is just that there's a process to it. It's not going to take your standard 30 to 45 days. It may take longer, and that buyer is just going to have to be a little bit patient.
Yes, thank you. Maila, we looked at a couple of your videos, and you've mentioned this term personal responsibility. So I wasn't sure if that was a term that you created or, if it's a real estate thing. But can you tell us about that, especially when you're wanting to purchase, like maybe a fixer-upper as well as a new home, perhaps?
Oh man, so many ways to skin that cat on personal responsibility. So it's not a real estate term. I didn't make it up, but it's certainly something that I have I've been finding myself lately like referring to quite a bit. This market this year has been so interesting. Interest rates are kind of hanging out 6.125, and nobody's happy about that. Buyers are not happy. And then prices are kind of hanging out. Single family home prices especially, they're not coming down, and buyers aren't that happy about it. And then sellers are also not that happy that prices aren't escalating as quickly as they have done in the past.
Yes.
So I'm finding that I'm having to really over communicate to sellers and buyers like never before. Like when a seller comes to me and says, I want to sell my house, what do you think I could get for it?
Yeah.
And then I am like, well, it's not about what I think, it's about what the data shows us. So let's look at the data. And then, a seller will say, well, I don't want to price it at that. I believe it's worth this. And then I'll say, okay, the data is showing us 1.2, but you want to price it at 1.4. Here's what you can expect if we price it high. You may not get as many buyers looking at it. You may not get an offer within the first 2 weeks. Buyers may wait for you to drop the price. And so that's what I'm talking about in terms of personal responsibility. It's not me telling you, like, right. Well, my agent told me that we needed to price it at X. It's like, actually, you had the autonomy to make that decision to price it wherever you priced it. So it's so important to be able to articulate taking that personal responsibility for whatever. Like, nobody made you do this. And these are the conversations that I pride myself on having with my clients. I've definitely learned it over the years. When you first start out as a real estate agent, it's just like, yes, whatever you want. And then after a while you learn, like, I'm not really being of great service to you if I'm just like telling you whatever you want. Like, you've hired me for a reason. You've hired me to give you proper guidance and to direct you to the data so that you can make an informed decision. Right. So personal responsibility, what it comes down to at the end of the day is that it's your decision, and it's my job just to be able to help you uncover everything that we possibly can so that you make a decision that you're comfortable with.
Yes. So you're saying that sellers can often put like a price in a market that makes it appealing for for buyers. Oh yeah. And so maybe you can tell us about, for those that are prospective home buyers, when they see that listing, the realities of like them actually getting that price and, what is actually realistic.
This is a conversation I've had a few times in the last couple of months. There's this new strategy of selling homes. It's there's some sort of like an auction platform. Yeah. And there was a home priced in Kaneohe at $400,000. Right. And I mean, it was a nice house. It was in good condition. It was in a good location. And I had to tell so many people, and it was heartbreaking for me to say it, but $400,000 for that house just isn't realistic when the Kaneohe median home price is like $1.4 million. And typically those prices are set to cause this stir and to get a bunch of people to come and look at it and to get people swirling around the house. And, typically the agent or the seller is hoping to build momentum. Yes. I'm not a believer in that strategy. I believe in pricing it where the market says it is, or maybe even just a little bit under the market. 'Cause you never know. I mean, sometimes you think you've priced a property just right, and then it sits for 2 weeks and it's like, oh my gosh, like we got it wrong. Or a house like just down the street sold for less for whatever reason. Maybe there
Right.
were some plumbing issues or things that we didn't know about when we saw the listing on the MLS. And so, yeah, I think pricing it just under oftentimes is the best strategy, or pricing it right on the money.
So would you even suggest to your clients, like, oh, is it even worth it to put in an offer at that point?
I hate saying that, but I have told several people it's really not even worth it unless you come to me and you're pre-approved for 1.2 million
Right.
for that home that's listed at 500,000,
Yes.
and that neighborhood is like 1.2 million. I would say, let's try. Let's see where this thing goes.
Right.
But if you're pre-approved for 500,000 and the house is the starting bid is 400, and we know that the data tells us it's going to bid up to over $1 million,
Yes.
I typically have that hard conversation and say it's really not worth your while. And the contract is like 24 pages plus all the addenda. Like that's another like 10 pages. So you're going to be signing and reading through 34 pages of paperwork that's going to have to go through approvals from the brokerage at Coldwell Banker where I work. I'm going to have to review it. I'm going to have a conversation with the agent. It's not about the legwork that I'm doing, but I'm just like thinking about the energy that it's costing you as a buyer.
Right. And the time it takes to, commit to that.
Correct.
Home as well.
And then maybe you're going to miss out on something else as a result of putting your eggs in that basket.
Yes. Now, for the properties that, are worth it, that you want to put an offer in, how can you make your offer, seen by the seller?
Great question. So every offer has to be presented to the seller. So that's part of our job as realtors. It's in our code of ethics. We're actually legally bound to present every offer that comes in. But let's say I've got a buyer right now that competed for a home in Kailua, and I think we were competing against 10 other buyers in this neighborhood called Ku'ule Tract, which is really popular. It's just 2 blocks from the beach. The home is single level. It's on a 10,000 square foot lot. So it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of buyers. We won, and we were really excited about that. And the way that we made it stand out was, there's several things in the contract that do it. One of the biggest ones for us was we put in an escalation clause. So we said, hey, we're offering 2.2 million. But if you happen to get an offer that's at 2.25 million, we're going to escalate $25,000 over the highest offer. But we will ask the seller to provide that higher offer to us so that we can see it to substantiate what we're asking for. So that's one strategy. But let's say there's 10 offers and there's 3 agents that are exercising that strategy. A lot of time it's going to come down to the agent themselves, how the agent presents themselves to the other agent. Now the other agent has the responsibility of advocating for us. So relationships in this business are everything. So I would say, other than the money, because of course most sellers want the highest price. They also want to see that there are the least amount of hurdles on the way to the closing. A 30-day close over a 45-day closing would matter. A shorter inspection period over a longer inspection period. Like there's so many different strategies to get you to stand out. We used to be able to write love letters, where I'd say like, Danielle is a single mom and, she loves the yard for her daughter and they go to church right down the street. And those are things that we can't say anymore.
Oh, really?
Technically, we never really should have said them, but now it's totally disallowed to write letters.
So it sounds like the closing process can vary in time, and it sounds like we can kind of have the control of that. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. A typical escrow timeline is going to be 45 days. And the reason for that is, to give you as a buyer the time to inspect the property. If it's a condo or townhouse, it gives the seller the time to order the condo docs so that you can review the house rules and the financials. It allows your lender the time to conduct the appraisal, to do all of their due diligence, to also read through the condo docs. It allows the lender the time to consult with your employer to review your tax returns, to understand indeed that you are employed, to see what you are getting paid, how you're getting paid. So that's really the reason for that 45-day timeline.
Yeah.
If you're a cash buyer, you can close as soon as like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, these closing timelines can vary. Sometimes we'll push it as long as 60 days, depending on the seller's situation. Sometimes the seller is like, well, I don't want to move in 45 days. I want the most amount of money, but I still need a little bit of time. So again, going back to this being a cooperative process, you know, the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, like we're really working together to get this done as smoothly as possible for all parties.
Yes. You mentioned earlier that it's a very competitive field. So obviously a lot of people are putting, you know, their offers, and I'm pretty sure there's other ones too, putting in another offer. Can you tell us about just a discouragement that, you know, homeowners or home buyers have while being in this process? And, you know I have friends that have gone through the process. They've put in many offers and they've got, you know, somebody offering a higher amount than them, and they're just in that brink of like, okay, should I just give up, back out, you know, in the process and just, you know, just go back to renting a home? Can you tell us about those discouragements? And
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through it myself. We were house hunting in 2021, which was really like the frenzy of the market. It was COVID, and people were just like, oh, you know, interest rates were low, and we were like, get me out of this condo. I'm tired of being locked down in my four walls. I need a yard. My dogs need to run around. So my husband and I were in that boat, as well as many of my clients. And it was incredibly disappointing. And there was a time that we did give up. Like we put in an offer on this home in Hawaiʻi, and it was like perfect. Like it had the bedroom and the bathroom downstairs for us to move my mother-in-law in. She had dementia. It had the perfect yard. I mean, it was just everything. And we pulled out all the stops, like escalation clause, appraisal clause. You know, if this home happens to appraise for less than what we've agreed upon, we're going to bring in the money for it. And I got that call, and it was like, Maila, what a wonderful offer. Thank you so much for it. But there was somebody that came in a little higher than you. And I was like, there's no way. How could that happen? And, but you can be the first backup. So I took it and just like prayed and held on, like held out hope that this buyer in the primary position was going to back out, and they didn't. They closed, and I mean, I walked away just like with a bad taste in my mouth. Like, fine, we're just going to take a break. I don't think it's meant to be. That plays on you a lot too. Like, I just don't think it's meant to be. We'll just stay where we are. And then a few months later, we went back out at it again, you know, and then same thing, competing, had to pull out all the stops. I mean, I was like begging the agent, like, please pick us. Luckily they did. So we ended up being the one. And I would just say, like, to anybody that's gone through that, and that is still happening. So right now, even in this higher interest rate environment, people are still competing for homes. And what I say is, everybody seems to want the same home. You know, like, there's a lot of stuff on the market, but when there's that one that's fully renovated, that's single level, that's got the right yard, that's in the right condition, every buyer seems to want it. So I would just say, don't give up. You know, keep going at it. Eventually, the right one is going to hit, and yeah, just get into the market and roll with it. It makes you more resilient. It makes you stronger. It makes you better, and you learn from every experience.
Yes. So let's say your finances are good to go. You set your you've given your down payment, and it's at closing day. What can first home buyers expect at closing day?
It's funny because it's kind of this anticlimactic process here in Hawaii, because we are a good fund state. So what happens is you go to sign all of your documents. So let's say you've gone through all of your inspections, everything's good to go. It's signing day. We're going to sign all the paperwork. And then you're done, and it's like, okay, now what? And it's like, so in 2 days, you're going to get your keys. So in the mainland, oftentimes they'll sign and get their keys on the same day, and they pop the champagne, and it's all like, let's celebrate. But here in Hawaii, that's not the case. We have to wait 2 full business days before you get the keys and before it records. So on closing day, the property records at like 8:01 at the Bureau of Conveyances. And then usually we'll meet up either at the property or at somebody's workplace, because a lot of times people are working on the day it closes. Like if it's closing on a Wednesday, there's not really a reason for them to take off work, because it's literally just like, here's your keys, congratulations. But some days it's really exciting. Like if the client has cleared their schedule and they're super excited, I'll meet them at the property, usually with some sort of a closing gift and a big congratulations and lays, and we take photos, and sometimes there's tears.
Yes.
So it really varies. But yeah, sorry, it's not that exciting of an answer, because the way we do it in Hawaii is anticlimactic.
Yes, but you went through the whole process, you know, so
Yep.
I guess, like, you know, that's just the dawning of, like, you know, this whole, like, fiasco.
Totally.
I suppose.
Totally.
How about if you can tell us the coolest property that you've ever toured or gotten to represent?
Oh my gosh. I've toured a lot of really incredible properties here in Hawaii. We have some of the most exquisite real estate, from Portlock to Kahala to Diamond Head to Beachside in Kailua. And I'm awed all the time by the houses I get to see or the houses I get to take clients to. When I sell a house, it's a funny thing. My mom says this about me because, okay, so for example, we go out to eat and I'm like, this is so good. I love it. And my mom's like, you love everything. So like my mom like doesn't trust me anymore when I say things are good. But I take that same approach to homes.
Yeah.
Every home I sell, I get myself in this mindset of like, this is the coolest house ever. Like even if it's like a 2-bedroom townhome in Waikele, I'll be like, but this one has the vaulted ceilings, or this one, look out your window there. You see that? Like you've got green space there.
Yeah.
You're not just looking at a parking lot. Or if you are just looking at a parking lot, I'm like, look at how close your parking stall is to your door. Like as a real estate agent, we have to bring that type of enthusiasm to every sale.
That's good.
But if I were to pick the coolest one, this is going to sound so biased, but it's my house.
Yes, of course.
The house that we bought, going back to that 2021 fury in the market where we got outbid and we were having to compete. My husband and I, like in the midst of taking a break, I was like, let's just go look at this house in this neighborhood in Hawaii. We've never been there. And even now, it's Hahaione Valley. And when I say, like, I live in Hawaii, and people go, well, what part? And I say, Hahaione, they're like, where's that? Like, nobody knows. Which is what I love about it, because it's like this beautiful valley. I never would have known about it if we didn't stumble upon that one open house that one day. We didn't want to buy that house, but I remember saying, like, if another house comes up in this neighborhood, this is where I want to live. And we sat down on like a retaining wall and put it out there, and the next month our house popped up for sale.
Wow.
And that's the one we ended up buying. And there were things we had to do to it. It didn't have a yard. The most exciting properties to me are the ones that you can see the vision, you can see the end product of it. Not necessarily a fixer-upper, but when you can put your own touches on it and turn it into something special, those are huge wins. And so that's what we've done with my house, and I love it.
Yeah, so that's what a dream home is really about. It's not that you get the exact thing that you want, but you can build it into the dream home.
Totally. When you can make it your own, that's the dream.
Thank you so much, Maila.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that looks like that's all the time that we have for this podcast. Can you just give us any lasting words that you have and plug in your socials as well?
Sure. So I'm Maila Gibson-Bandmann. I've got a YouTube channel called Dwell Hawaii. We do a lot of really fun videos throughout the island. We'll be going inter-island as well. It's not just real estate, so it's kind of cool because I've got a lot of local transplants on the mainland that watch it, and they'll say things like, "You're making me miss home."
Oh, that's good.
So even though it might appear like a real estate channel and like a moving to Hawaii channel, it is meant to also help locals relate to this place that we love so much. So check that out. My other social handles are just Maila Gibson on Instagram, Maila Gibson-Bandmann on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn too. I don't know what to do with LinkedIn. And would love for anybody to connect with me if they are seeking guidance in real estate.
Yes, check out Maila for any real estate needs that you have. So thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Subscribe, comment, and yeah, just you have a great day.